Morning all, welcome to Grandad's allotment. Day 4 on the allotment this week. It's actually Friday. I missed Thursday out, so it's 11th of March today. Final day for my week of tidying up and sorting up. So seed sowing day today. I did the compost on Wednesday, but it's actually time to get some seeds in today, and hopefully I'll dispel a few myths as well. Speak to you in a bit, but for now, get the kettle on. Right guys, I'm going to do a bit of seed sowing here, but I'm going to do a bit of myth busting as well. You saw us the other day making my seed sowing compost. What I'm going to do is compare it to some bought seed sowing compost. Normally I don't buy it, to be honest. I normally, to be honest, use just normal multi-purpose compost and just sieve it. Put a bit of perlite in, but I made my own last week because I didn't have very much multi-purpose. But I had this bag of seed sown compost at home, which I did my tomatoes in last week, and I only I bought 2 bags of this. To be honest, I had a bit of bother buying seed sown compost. It took us a while to find some, but I found some. I think I got it at home base. I think so, and I managed to get it 2 bags. I've got a bag spare because I've done all the stuff I need to do at home, but I'll compare it. This is seed sown compost, and it's got added John Innes. Now, if you don't know what John Innes is he's a bloke. He was a horticulturist in the early 1900s, and he studied horticulture, and he bequeathed all his money to the Horticultural Institute. I think it's in Norfolk now, John Innes Institute. And basically it's an agreed method of making compost and additives to put in it. So John Innes itself, it varies on what sort of grade of compost you get. You get seed sown compost, you get cutting compost, you get potting on compost. They've all got different additives, but seed sown compost, that in most John Innes, it comprises of 3 or 4 different things. Loam, which is the bulk of it, which is makes up the most of the John Innes mix, which is basically a clay type soil, very much clay, and that gives the base for the roots to take hold, the bulk of it, as it were. You've then got peat, sphagnum moss peat, which is added, which is about 1 part, and then you've got sand added, coarse sand, which again is 1 part. So you've got 2 parts loam, 1 part sand, 1 part peat in there. So if you think you're going peat free, think again if you're buying anything that's got John Innes in it, because it's not peat free. So it also has a few added sort of nutrients, nitrogen, some fertilizer, some trace elements in there. But basically the bulk of it is clay. Over half of it is clay, a little bit of peat, a little bit of sand, and you'll see that when I open this up. Where my knife is. You'll see that when I open this up, the difference between this and the difference between mine. Bring this a bit closer, but you can see it's very much a sandy loam. It's quite claggy. There's not a great deal of anything in it. Basically, it's very clay, very sandy, silky, damp, all the time, and it's still got bits of rocks in it. So you can actually feel clay balls in it, and if you crush them up, it is clay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of that. I'm going to fill fill 2 trays, one with this seed sown compost. I mean, it is quite fine, it doesn't need sieving or anything, but once it gets watered it tends to hold a lot of water. The sand's in there for the, supposedly, you see the bits of sand there, for to let the water drain out, but it's, in my opinion, it's quite compact. I mean, there's a lot of sand in this. You can feel it. You can, you know, it's like you could make sandcastles with it. So I'm going to fill this up, and I'm going to. There's three lines of 5. So I'm going to put 5 plants, 3 different plants, 1 flower, one fruit, or 1 vegetable. In there, and one fruit and vegetable, so like a root vegetable and a fruit and vegetable. And I'll do the same with mine, my compost, exactly the same. Right, so that's the John in this. Get rid of that. I'll get some of mine. So this is my compost that I made yesterday. So it's got sieved 3-row wood chippings. It's got a bag of just multi-purpose compost in there, again sieved, and it's got perlite added as well. The perlite's going to do the job of what the sand does in there and keep the water, but it's still going to stay light and free. You can see it doesn't clag together. That's my Let's fill this one. Just compress it down. Right, let's see what seeds happen. Let's have a slurp first though. It's a bit colder today. Sun's out now though, but it is a bit colder. Right, let's see what we've got. Right, Detroit beetroot, bog standard. You know, germinates anywhere, should be good. Flowers, calendula, again, you know, they'll go anywhere, so should be easy to germinate. One that's maybe not as easy, peppers. Sometimes need a bit of heat. What have we got here? These are my own saved peppers. Yellow pointed peppers. Right, that's the 3 that's going to go. And I'm not going to grow these to fruition at all. It's just going to be to see how they germinate. Like for like. So I've got the John Innes here on the left. The my seed sown compost on the right. I'll do them in rows. I'll move them over, move the camera over so you can see a little bit better. Right, so we'll start with the beetroot. So I'm a dibber. and I'm just going to put one seed in each hole, because as I say, I'm not growing them for to keep, it's just a matter of interest really to see what the germination rate's right. These are Detroit, they should spring into action straight away. You know, they're pretty bog standard grow anywhere plants. So one in each hole. There's two. One in each hole. Back. So that was Detroit 2 beetroot. We'll now go for the calendula. Again, these should germinate pretty well. They're pretty bog standard plant. They'll grow anywhere. You know, if you put them in your garden, they'll and let them set seed, they'll cover your garden eventually. These are different shades mixed, so there might be different types of colours of seeds, but they should still germinate the same way. So I'm not going to get these to flowers. I don't know if you've seen calendula seeds before, but they're, yeah, sort of U-shaped. They look like toenail clippings. So that, I think they look like funny little shapes. Right, that's a calendula. And the last ones, which will probably be the most temperamental, are the peppers, because we haven't got a great deal of heat here, but they should still come. But let's see. Do my holes first. Oh, put that in the wrong hole. I'll have to dig that back out. So I'll dig that back over there. Okay, so we'll just cover them over. Dump them down a bit. Seeds are in contact with soil. You can see how wet this is. Right, I'll get me watering can. perhaps you can see on there, I've put the same amount of water on each, but the water's lying on the surface of this seed sown compost. It's not soaking in where it's gone right down into mine. So there's definitely a bit more aeration in mine. Right, so what was it? Drought. Calendula. Pepper. Right, we'll come back in a few weeks' time to see how they're doing and see if there's any actually difference between shop bought seed sown compost with added John in it, or my own seed sown compost, and see how that does. I've got my favourites, but let's see how the experiment works. So I'm going to put these on the bench over there, see how we do. Right, I'm going to sort out a few seeds to sow. See what I'm going to do. So beans and peas first. Let's see what I've got. Runner beans, stringless polestar, and enorma. Broad beans I've already got in, did them in October, so I'm not going to plant any more because I'm going to run out of beds. Put them there. Climbing French beans, purple TP, and I should have another climbing bean. Climbing bean, Coco Blanc de Noms, and then a yellow climbing bean as well. And peas must be in the other box. They're going to be, I think, Kelvin Wonder and early on. What are the two peas I've got? So that's the beans done. Right, they're all salad. I'm not doing salad. Not yet anyway. So these are leaves. So chard. So that's rhubarb chard, turnips, purple Milan, Swiss chard, celeriac, turnips snowball. So that's my sort of roots. My carrots and stuff, parsnips, they're going to be direct sown. Oh, there's another chard. So I'll do Swiss chard, 3 lots of chard. So giant Ford hook, which is the white one, Swiss chard bright lights, and Swiss chard rainbow chard. So that's my leaves and roots. I'm also going to have a go at salsify as well. I've never done it before. It goes direct into the ground, but it's still a little bit too cold for direct into the ground. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'll finish off my seeds. Roots, beetroot, carrots, they're going to be direct sown. Herbs, I want a few herbs this year. I'm going to make one of the beds into just purely a herb bed. So, in here as well, I'm going to put pots of basil to go with the tomatoes. So basil, so I've got traditional classic Italian basil, and then I've got a red leaf basil. Dill, coriander, summer savoury, chamomile, marjoram. Some of these I don't know, I wouldn't know what to do. Borage, I did borage last year and it was really good. Didn't really use it for to eat or to cook with, but the flowers on it are really good for attracting bees and stuff into the garden. Bees like purple flowers, so borage, get yourself some of that if you want to attract some bees and some pollinators into the garden. So definitely doing that. So parsley, basil, thyme. I'll do some thyme. Right, I think that's my herbs there. Right, so these are brassicas, kohlrabi, pak choi, a green kohlrabi and a purple kohlrabi, my kale, purple sprouting broccoli, curly kale, and the only cauliflowers I'm going to do a purple one, and I'm going to do the Romanesco one. They came out really well last year, so I'm going to do that. And then a couple of different sorts of spinach, mustard spinach and perpetual. I'm not doing cabbages because they take up too much room, take too long to grow, and at the end of the day they tend to blow, or the birds get them. Sprouting broccoli, it's great because you keep picking at it and the more it comes. So I think that's it. That's what I've got. So that's my brassicas. Say salads, I've got loads of salad stuff, and I never grow it. I've done it before, and the bolts and goes to seed, or yeah, never eat it. So that's them. So I've got this one. More beans. Right, this is my alliums. So spring onions, I'm definitely doing spring onions, and I'm doing them in the strawberry bed, the raised barrel one. So I've got Pompeii and white Lisbon. Pompeii are the round sort of salad onions. I've already got loads of onions out, the sets I bought and what I planted last year, but do I? Right, there's some silver skin ones, so I might do them because they're just little ones, salad ones again. Leeks, I haven't got any leeks in there. Right, I'm going to have to get some leeks. So I'm going to do mini spring onions. Flowers. Parsnips. Right, chilies and peppers. I haven't started any off this year at home because you know you end up paying more on your electric for than you do for to start them off. So what my plans are this year, I'm just going to buy them in as plug plants. So I'm not sowing any sweet peppers or chilies, apart from that one I've just done in the experiment. So that's that. What's in here? Aubergines, again, I never have any success with them. I do need those courgettes. Okra, I'm going to have a go with okra and cucumber melons because I've got the seeds, so they're going in. Right, onto my squashes. So patty pan, pumpkins, butternut squash, and that's a patty pan. So that's my squashes. Right, I think that's it for the veg. I'll come back to you after I've seeded these up. So one thing I was going to say was I'm on lots of Facebook groups, lots of sort of garden and allotment sort of sites, and you get people on there keep asking, you know, can I sow this now? Can I do this now? You know, do I need to have a greenhouse? Do I need lights? The answer is no, really. Nature's a wonderful thing, you know. A plant will grow, it'll flower. Once it's flowered, it sets its seeds or it sets its fruit. Once they start to die back, they drop to the floor. Winter comes, they lay dormant. In the spring, when the soil starts to get warm again and the sun comes out, they start to shoot and start to sprout. That's the way things work. If you think about the way you're growing, just do it the same. You know, it doesn't need to be in a greenhouse. Yes, that'll speed things up a little bit, but what will happen if you start sowing your tomatoes in January and there's not enough light, unless you put artificial light on, which costs money nowadays. So, you know, you've got to put artificial light on or they'll go leggy. You know, you'll have tomato plants this big with 2 little leaves at the top. No good to anybody, you know. As soon as you come to put them out or put them into a cold greenhouse, you know, they'll die off. You know, wait another couple of months, wait till March, you know, when things are starting to get a bit warmer. We are still going to get a frost, you know, and all seeds need a frost. They need a cool period because that's the dormant period. You know, that's the winter for them. You know, they've dropped their seeds off the plant, they've flowered or whatever, drop their seeds, they'll get a cold snap. When it starts to get warm again, the seed shocks itself back into action. That's when it starts to grow. Yeah, you need that. So you will get that, but if you get that cold snap when the plants start to grow, it's just going to kill them off. So big leggy tomato plants, no good to anybody. You may as well chuck them away. So leave them another couple of months. March, start and plant them. Indoors, if you're in a cold greenhouse like this, end of March when it starts to warm up. It's starting to warm up now. It's a nice sunny day, but it was cold this morning. You know, we are still due a frost, you know, till even May. Up here we could still get a frost, so be aware of that. If you're starting your seeds off, you know, you don't need a greenhouse. It can be done outside on a warm bench, on a patio, you know. Yes, a cover will help, but don't do them too early. Wait until it warms up. You know, you've got loads of growing season left. It's the same with chitting things, you know. Nature doesn't chit potatoes, nature doesn't chit parsnips, you know. Soaking peas, you know, it doesn't, that's not the way nature works. You know, it'll drop its seed, it'll absorb the moisture, and it'll start and grow when it wants to grow. And for the right environment for it to grow, it's got to be nice warm soil and nice light days. Yeah, so go back to nature. You know, do it at the right time, do it when the soil's warm. You don't need to bother about chitting things. Let nature do it. If it doesn't want to grow, it'll not grow until it's warm enough. Yeah, so it really bugs me, people asking silly questions on Facebook pages and stuff. You know, if you just think back to nature, what nature does, it'll work. You know, it'll work. Yeah, you saw my my potatoes yesterday, the day before. So these were my potatoes, which have been in the ground nearly 12 months. Haven't done anything with them. Yeah, they've grown. You know, they weren't a tuber. That tuber's grown, and it's then started to regrow because the soil's starting to warm up again. starting to get to that point when it needs to regrow. There's no top growth on it at all. It was just a bucket of mud and it was soaking wet when I harvested it the other day, if you look back at the video. But they've started to grow again. That's what nature does. It has a cool period, dormant period, and then everything springs back into action. That's why it's called spring. Yeah, so let nature do it. Right, I'm gonna get myself set up and I'm gonna sow some seeds. I'm sure you all know how to sow seeds, so I'm not bother showing you, but I'll come back and show you what I've done. Right, catch you in a bit. Right, kettle's on. Bit time for a bit of lunch, so I've got the fire on, so I thought I'd crack open a bit of a barbecue. There you go. I know they're not sausages, but that's all I had in the cupboard at the allotment. So a few hot dogs on the fire. Nothing wrong with that. Right, see you in a bit. Right, I've finished my seeds. I haven't got enough of these covers, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover the whole lot with just some plastic. So what have I got in here? That's my brassicas in there, so my Romanesco, my kale, beans in there, cobra beans, the purple potted climbing beans. In this one I've got my alliums, sorry, not my alliums, my brassicas, more brassicas, and my turnips in there. Onions in there, no sorry, beans, enorma beans and the runner beans, peas early onward, Boneyards exhibition, yard long beans. These are all flowers in here, various different sorts, zinnias, poppies, calendula, nigella, asters, lavender, petunias. They're all bedding plants and stuff in there. My herbs in this side, thyme, marjoram, chamomile, dill, spring onions I've got in there, them ones, and that's my two test ones of my John Innes and my own seed sown compost. You can see the difference here. They were both watered at the same time. So John Innes on the left, yeah, mine on the right. Right, just give these a bit of a water and cover up, and that's me done for today. Right, that's it for today. Just a shorter day. I've potted up as much as I can. I've run out of compost again, so I'm gonna have to go out and buy a bag of compost and make some more myself, but that'll be next week now. I've done up what I needed to be done. The other stuff can be potted later on, end of March, beginning of April, even into June, so it's not a big issue. Right, I'm gonna head off.